Welcome to the CNO's Navy Birthday All Hands Call. I'm Petty Officer Brandy Wills, and I'll be your moderator for this event. We'll be taking your questions from around the world via social media and satellite. With us to answer your questions, we have Chief of Naval Operations Admiral Jonathan Greenert and Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy Mike Stevens. CNO, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, MC1 Wells. Hello everybody, and welcome shipmates, welcome around the fleet and around the world. It's really a great day. We get to do three very important things today. One, eat cake. Number two, re-enlist sailors. And three, listen and learn. And I'm here with my favorite rock star, the Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy. Master Chief, thanks for being here today.
No, thank you, it's good to be here.
Let's start off with something that you and I really like to do. What do you say we re-enlist some sailors?
I'm ready, sir.
You all right with that?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's good. Hey everybody, how are you doing today? You ready to go?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hoo-yah?
Yeah.
All right, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, out here in the audience, if you will, please attention to oath. Raise your right hand and please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, John Jones,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and I will obey the orders of the President of the United States
and I will obey the orders of the President of the United States
and the officers appointed over me,
and the officers appointed over me,
in accordance with regulations
in accordance with regulations
and the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
and the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right, welcome back
All
in.
right.
Yeah, right, huh? Sounds good. All right. Let's get some quick questions and answers. Let's listen and learn, MCPON. What do you say?
I'm ready.
All right.
All right, sir, our first question comes from USS Simpson, FFG 56. Standing by on the phone is Petty Officer Dan Kurt. Petty Officer Dan Kurt, go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Our question for you here is, how will the national health care changes affect TRICARE and the other military health benefits we have?
Well, they won't change at all. They are two completely separate entities. TRICARE is for DOD and for active and for their if you will, families and for retirees. Two completely different entities, so there is no impact. Simple answer.
Our next question we are going to get live from Norfolk. Norfolk, when you're ready, go ahead.
All right. Hey, Norfolk.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, MCPON. I'm OS1 Craft from Navy Expeditionary Combat Command. My question is, with the ground wars winding down in Iraq and Afghanistan, what does the future hold for Navy Expeditionary Combat Command, and how does the CNO plan to employ us?
Well, the Naval Expeditionary Combat Command is in high demand. It's very relevant for the things that we need to do today and in the future. So what I'm telling you is the capability that Expeditionary Combat Command brings is relevant for the future. But the capacity that we need to maintain is it's not affordable in the fiscal and the amount of money we'll have in the future and for the needs of the future. So let me put it maybe more succinctly. We need the capability that you bring. We don't need the capacity. So we need to bring it down to a proper level that makes sense for our future.
Our next question is coming from Afghanistan, and they are on a little bit of a delay. So Afghanistan, when you are ready, please go ahead.
How you doing, sir? MCPON. And my question is for the MCPON. In regards to the RC to AC FTS program, is there another phase that's going to roll out and implement more rates, more year groups, and more quotas for sailors wanting to convert between the different components?
Yeah, so your question is, right now we offer in certain ratings and certain year groups our reserve sailors to cross over into the full-time support and active duty components, correct? That's the question you asked?
Yes, Master Chief.
I will tell you, every year, and even throughout the year, we're looking at where we have shortfalls and where we can afford to bring reserve sailors into full-time support and active duty billets. And every time when we recognize that there is a need, then we send out a nav admin, announce that, and afford a greater opportunity for our reserve sailors to go into the active components. Right now, we think we have that about right, and the manning levels are adequate for those reserve sailors that are interested in going into the active component. So please continue to look for those opportunities.
We're going to take another question from an audience member, so shipmate, please come forward and introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, sir, Master Chief.
Afternoon.
I'm CTI-1 Martin, and as a Russian linguist, our primary deployment platform is direct support for submarines.
Yeah.
And on behalf of especially some of our junior female Russian linguists and those male counterparts that would love to share the sea time with them, is there any progress being made towards allowing enlisted females on submarines?
Yes, there has been. We have chosen the first two platforms, in fact, the first four, and kind of sequenced that. Now what we need to do is by March of 15, we will lay out the plan to determine how many folks we'll take for the first tranche, if you will, the first group, and on these submarines, how the hierarchy will be, because what we've learned the hard way, 30 years ago, it's 30 years ago really, we integrated females at sea in our Navy. You have to have the right leadership there. So the people who have role models, so people who have people that we can relate to when they come into a new environment, like we're talking about here, females on submarines. So March of 15, we will lay that plan out and move ahead. But the fact of the matter is, we're going to do this.
All right, sir, it looks like the next question we have coming in is from our sailors in San Diego.
Good afternoon, sir. MCPON, Jan-1 Fiber from Naval Special Warfare Center. My question for you is in regard to retirement pay. I've heard that there's going to be a decrease in the retirement pay, and I was wondering if you foresee the military having a decrease in the pay or no retirement at all in the forthcoming future.
I'll take this one. Okay. No, there is no reduction in the retirement pay. I can't foresee not having a retirement system, or we wouldn't have much of an all-volunteer force. That I can assure you. Now, there is a commission that was assigned by the Congress to look at pay, entitlements, and retirement. That commission is just formed. They are just getting started. The Department of Defense, in the form of the Secretary of Defense, he will provide an input for them to consider. This is a long way out. This is a few years out before the recommendations of this commission really get laid out and accommodated by our Congress. But this much I'll tell you, and everybody in the sound of my voice today, if you wear a uniform today, that is your retirement system, the one that you joined up to. That's the way it is right now. There's no reduction in the near term.
I was just told we have another phone call coming in. This time it is from Petty Officer Carl Anthony. He's deployed on USS Ramage.
Very good.
Go ahead, Ramage.
Good afternoon, sir. My question for you today is, how is the Navy going to stop the continued cross-decking of sailors to meet manning requirements on deployed ships? Sailors get sent to a parent command, and we do all the things the Navy says it's important to make a sailor feel part of the team, only to find after a short period of time they get cross-decked to another ship.
Shipmate, great question, and I will tell you your concerns have been our same concerns in the manning world for the past at least half dozen years, I will say. Right now, our end strength is about 325,000 sailors. Just a couple of years ago, it was about 322,000 sailors. The reason that you've seen, and we've seen this 3,000 roughly sailor increase is to mitigate, to try to eliminate to some degree the very problem that you're talking about with cross-decking of sailors. We recognize that it's disruptive to the unit, it's disruptive to the sailor, and we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can within the limits of our authority and resources to prevent this from being an issue in the future. So I think you'll see it get better. We'll continue to work at it, and hopefully one day we don't have this conversation.
We have a sailor in Afghanistan who has a question for you. So go ahead, Afghanistan.
Admiral Grenier, this is Wine Hens. The Secretary of the Navy, Ray Mabus, states that ships are going out to sea less. Navy pilots flying less. Shipyards are laying off. Will deployments be modified even greater than 6 months? Rates be downsized more, or other drastic changes due to budget changes? We have sailors wanting to further their Navy careers and are feeling pressure to leave when they want to stay in?
Well, we are, let me talk to first sailors that want to stay in. We have the Navy just about where we need it to be now, and my point is we have been hiring. This past year, we have been almost maximum capacity in our recruit training command. So we're hiring, we're sustaining, we're not pushing people out. But let me get to the deployment piece. Due to sequestration and a continuing resolution taking effect midway through the year, in fiscal year 13, we had a situation where we had to stop deployments. We were going to send more ships out on deployment than we had the money to. So we had to stop those deployments. At that time, we went ahead and made the assumption in fiscal year 14 that we would be under the same situation. We adjusted those deployments. And so my point is the longer deployments that folks endured in 13 and in the early part of 14 is a matter of an adjustment to, if you will, a consistent rotation. So what that means in the end is deployments are set at what the length is going to be, and for aircraft carriers, for example, for fiscal year 14, it'll be about 7.5 to 8 months, depends on them. For destroyers, about 7 months, for amphibs, about 7 months, for submarines, about 6 months. Point is, unless something happens when you're on deployment, and it's happening to the Nimitz and Carrier Strike Group right now, in the case of the Syria operation. Unless that happens, we have our deployment length set for fiscal year 14.
Our next question is pre-recorded, and it comes from the 5th Fleet.
Hello, my name is AO2 Beauchamp, originally from Avondale, Pennsylvania. I'm stationed on board USS Nimitz, currently deployed. My question for the Master Chief is, with financial worries affecting today's economy and military funding, is there any contributions or privileges that may affect the Navy as far as military retirement or tuitions assistance?
A great question, and it's another question that everybody's probably wondering about. The CNO talked about a commission for a retirement just a little bit ago, explained that in some detail. What I will tell you as far as the rest of our entitlements and benefits is that right now it's something that we're currently looking at. Making sure that we're properly representing our sailors and their families. But keep in mind that there's a balance that we have to strike. CNO talked to me the other day about quality of work and quality of life, and we got to make sure that we're using our money appropriately and that we're providing both those qualities for our sailors and their families, because they're both extremely important. But to really answer your question is yes, it's something that we're looking at right now, but it's something that we always look at. And we want to make sure that we do the right thing and get it right for our sailors and families.
That was all the questions we had time for today.
Oh my goodness, are we done already?
We are.
Does that mean we get to cut a cake?
It's now time for our
right,
Navy
that's what I'm
birthday
talking
celebration.
I wonder where you're up to this morning, MCPON. You know,
The sword they are using to cut the cake is from the Naval History and Heritage Command. It is a naval officer's sword from the early 1800s, attributed to Admiral Farragut. The hilt of the sword in gold-colored metal, forming the shape of an eagle's head, and the handle is in ivory bone and has carved decoration. The blade of the sword displays an anchor and a ship on stormy seas.
You're going to be in the middle, and then we'll just put our hands right on here. And then you got to look up at the camera and say, "Happy birthday, Navy." Happy birthday, Navy, huh? Okay. All right.